Hashem Yehovah, Hashem Yahushua Mashiach. Bless your name, Creator of the heavens and the earth. Father, we come before you humbly asking, first and foremost, for your forgiveness, Yah, for anything unclean that we have committed before Shabbat, even on today. Father, we ask for forgiveness of our ancestors' iniquities, sins and transgressions, that you will blot them out and remember them no more. Father, we thank you for every participant, every vessel that is here. Yeah, I ask that you open the ears and open the minds and hearts of those that are participating, that they shall hear from your shepherd. Father, allow the word to pierce and hit its target, Father, and allow us to walk into truth. Father, I thank you for everybody that is here that is and was able to attend, and for those that have not been able to, Father. I thank you in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. Okay, got to be seated now that it was. Now.
All right. So our first one is to come from Shabbat, chapter 19, verses 1 through 8. And that's commonly called Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 through 8. And it reads, in the third month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of the land of Israel, the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mountain. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahuwah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, verse 4, ye have seen what I did unto the Mitzrayim, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a set apart nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuwah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah hath spoken, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And next ordinance will come from Wa'ikra, commonly called Leviticus, chapter 26, verses 40 to 46. That's Leviticus chapter 26, verses 40 to 46. It reads, and if they shall confess their iniquities or the iniquities of their fathers with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humble, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Yitzhak, and also my covenant with Abraham, where I remember, and I will remember the land. 43. The land also shall be left to them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lieth desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because even they despise my judgments, and because their soul abhor my statutes. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. For I am Yahuwah their El. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Israel, in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their El. I am Yahuwah. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahuwah made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moshe. Our last ordinance comes from Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 22 through 28. say unto the house of Israel, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my set apart name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, saith Yahuwah Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I clean you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. Verse 28, and ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your help. Hallelujah.
Now we have the, that's right, another reading, with the 10 words, 10 commandments, that's not Shema.
I'll be reading from Shabbat, commonly called Exodus, chapter 20, starting from verse 1. Again, I'll be reading from Shabbat, commonly called Exodus, chapter 20, starting from verse 1. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yah the Elohim, which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other mighty ones before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I am Yah the Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate, and show mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah the Elohim in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat day of Yah the Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yah made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that days may be long upon the land which Yah the Elohim giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Praise Yah.
Okay, Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah Echad, Yahuwah Te'et, Yahuwah Elohim, the call, the Baba, who will call the festival, who will call Milk. You shall love Yahuwah Elohim with all of your heart, with all your soul, and all your might. Hear and obey Israel, Yahweh Yahweh is one. You shall obey Yahweh Elohim with all your heart. All right, now Hallelujah portion preceded by my Hallelujah belongs to you. 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 You deserve it. 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 Hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. My hallelujah belongs to you. My hallelujah belongs to you. Hallelujah. So how many hallelujahs you think? Share with your family. Any way you want to express yourself. So hallelujah. Hallelujah. Whatever. Go to shop and that way y'all want to do this.
Shabbat shalom. I want to give all praise to the Most High for giving me eyes to eat, eyes to hear, ears to hear, and eyes to see. Because recently, I'm starting to see the difference between, well, the real difference between the flesh and the spirit. You know, the barrier between the flesh and the spirit is getting wider and wider. Because recently I just started to coach myself during my walk. And I'll say things to myself like, you know, you're going to be accountable if you do this, or you know you're going to be accountable if you don't do this. So I definitely want to give praise to the Most High to give me a different spirit, I guess, to see things from a spiritual perspective instead of always seeing it from a carnal perspective or a perspective of the flesh. That's it. All praise to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom. I just want to give thanks for the Creator for bringing us all through another week. You know, everything we go through today, it's just a trial and testing. And I just want to say hello, y'all, for even though my job is a lot of turmoil going on, it's just a lot. But I would like to thank the Most High for even in the confusion and the turmoil that's going on, He's still showing favor to me. And you know, it's not always easy, but things are really starting to work out in a way that I didn't expect.
Hallelujah. Anyone else with hallelujah? Anybody online with hallelujah? Hallelujah. Just want to thank the Most High for help, for the ability to stand before Him first and foremost, before the mission of God. Regardless of what you go through during the week, as Paul said, it's always a blessing and a pleasure to be here and also to be free. You've been in a lot of other places. So I say Torah about that, Torah about Maisha. Just Torah about hallelujah. Anybody else with hallelujah? Cool. So we missed the Torah portion, right? Last week. Did anybody actually read that Torah portion?
I read the story.
So Torah portion. Last Torah portion was in regards to Yaakov and his journey to we're just gonna go through it, but we're not gonna read it because we're going to the Torah portion of this week. But Yaakov being in on his way to Laban. So I guess this is kind of gonna be a pop quiz for y'all because we're gonna kind of walk through. So what happened to Yaakov on the way to the bar? On his journey from his house with his father Imam to Laban and Padan Aram, what happened in between them? This is an open book test, by the way. Torah course started in chapter 28, verse 10. And he went with his Genesis chapter 28, verse 10. So portion is Wyatt said.
Didn't he run into Esau?
That's in this week's short portion. The one that's going to read this week.
He has experience with the Most High.
He has an experience with the Most High. And what happened during that experience?
He was given.
That's in this week's order.
But he did make a covenant most times with stuff.
He made a vow, and what was that vow? Probably gotta speak up to. What was that vow?
That if you take care of me, then I'll serve you.
Okay, but if you give me food to eat and shelter, and you return me back to the land of my father, back to my father's house in peace, then you will be my Elohim. Alright, so makes that vow, and that place is called what? Okay, Bethel. He said, surely this is the house of Elohim, and I did not know it. So it's Bethel, all right, so boom, he makes a vow, now you go into chapter 29. So how does Yaakov end up getting to the Bond's house? So first on that note, just on the vow that he made, if you have not made a vow to the Creator or professed him to be your Creator, your Elohim, he is not your Elohim. The forefathers had to do it, we also got to do it. So if you have not professed that and made that conversation between you and him, then kind of walk with him.
It says Yaakov lifted up his feet and went to the land of the people of peace.
Okay. Also, real quick, he said that you'll be my Elohim. So verse 22, 28, 22. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be Elohim's house, and of all that you shall give me, I will surely give a tenth unto you. So a tithe. Who was Yaakov giving a tithe to?
I'll say the most high.
How? Some priest. Some temple.
His works.
We said, of all that you shall give me. That means whatever substance, whatever increase you give me, I'm giving you a tithe of it. So how was he giving the tithe?
Well, I think okay, if you help somebody else out, you're doing the work of the Most High, you also found that individual. So maybe that's what he.
An offering or no?
The answer is really, I don't know. I'm just asking y'all because not only because I don't know, but two, and who else gave a tithe previous to that? Abraham. So if Abraham and Yaakov give a tithe before there's a priesthood, then that argument of I can't give a tithe because there's no priesthood.
Okay.
All right, chapter 29. The Yaakov, okay, so go ahead.
With the Torah course, do you usually put it on the board, telling us what to read?
Okay. So this is for this week. So we're gonna read this, but since we weren't here last week, I'm kind of catching y'all up. So then once we started, you'll know. All right, so chapter 29, right? So chapter 29, he goes, as Don said, he meets the people of the east and he asks them, where we all from? And he said, pretty much, he said, my brothers, where's be he? And they said, Haran. So you know that he's in the right place. He said, you know the bond son of Bekor. So on and so forth. So then who does he meet first? He meet the people of the east. He said, do you know the bond? And they say, who does he meet?
Rachel,
Okay, Raquel. So then Raquel, he helps her, get the water, the flock and all that. And then they talk, so then she brings him back to the Bayit, or to the house. And then that's when Yaakov says, let me work for you. And Laban says, well, you ain't gonna work for me for free, right? Name your wages. And Yaakov says, what's his wages? Okay, he wants Raquel. So he says, cool, we can do that. You work for me 7 years, I'll give you Raquel. At this point, what else should he probably have told Yaakov?
The custom.
The custom of the land, which was
The older daughter has to bear first.
cool. Shlomo, you have just exhausted all of your answers. Now everybody else got an answer. Cool. So, custom of the land is the younger daughter does not get married before the older daughter. So he probably should have told him that. He didn't. So he's already moving in deception. So this is the first time changing his wages, right? So he worked 7 years. He said, all right, boom, I worked 7 years, give me my woman, because she thick, I want her, get my baby. And then they have the ceremony, at the ceremony, what happens? Okay, he get drunk and he messes with the twin. I'm just gonna say the twin because there's no way. He couldn't have known.
I'm saying, I was, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's no way you could have known. I just don't. If they don't have the same body, I don't know. This is weird in intent. I don't know what happened in intent, but it's quite weird in intent that you don't know that that's Leia, not Raquel. That means that they both have the same hair texture and everything. Anyway, it's not important. Yeah, before I get off track and get stoned. All right, boom. So he goes out, say LeBron, you a liar, so on and so forth, get my woman. So then LeBron tells him the custom of the land, which is the older goes before the younger. So then he has to do what?
Work another 7 years.
Okay, he got to work another 7 years. All right, boom. So he has to work another 7 years, and he gets Raquel. After he gets Raquel, then what occurs?
He get another 7, and you got to
He had to work again. He had to work again. And it wasn't 7 years. How many years was it this time? Little math quiz. Oh, no, go nowhere before this math quiz. Where you going? How many years? Huh? So it's 2 digits that he worked all together. He worked 20 years all together. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, that math, baby. So 7, 7, 6. So he worked 6 years. He worked 6 years for what? I told you exhausted all of the equity.
Now I was gonna say, I remember the verse where he said he changed his wages 10 times. Then he received some cattle, some things for his household.
Okay, he was supposed to receive cattle, flocks, and all of that, right? But then as soon as they made that agreement, what did Laban do?
He said, these daughters are my daughters.
That's later, that's coming. But as soon as he said, all right, boom, we can make that deal, you get your cattle, your rams, and all of that stuff like that. What did Laban do? No, he didn't. He gave it away. To who? Who did Laban give Yaakov's wages to? That's in chapter that's in chapter 30.
Didn't give to his son.
Yes, gave it to his son. Okay, he gave it to his son. Well, this is a part of here, a major part that we're gonna go back to. I'm trying to get.
Like the speckle and all that stuff.
Yeah, so boom, so then he changed it, he gives it all that way, right? He said whatever spotted, whatever speckled, matter of fact, verse 32. So chapter 30, verse 32. I'll start at verse 31. He said, what shall I give you? And Yaakov said, you shall give me nothing. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flock. I will pass through all of your flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all of the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face, everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. So pretty much he said, give me all your defected cattle. Give me all your defected animals. I want everything that has a defect. Same thing we do usually at the store. We look at clearance for this thing. They got the little one stain on it. That's like $10. Yeah, that's what he wanted. He wanted all of that. So then he gives all of that to his sons. And now Yaakov has to do what? What does Yaakov do? He goes through it, he picks them up, and now Laban takes everything he picked out and gives it to Laban's son. So now Yaakov has nothing. So now what must Yaakov do? Go down to verse 37. 30 and 37. Go ahead, Ricky. Why they leave?
It's, again, it's asking much more times.
What, what did Yaakov do once he was left with nothing in regards to getting? Well, no, so 36 is Laban separated.
What he did was, he took his eyes on his children.
Before that,
He was what he did.
Oh, and I don't understand this, but what's the whole thing with the rods and all of that?
that's what he did. So, verse 37. And Yaakov took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and of the peeled white scrapes, and piled, white scrapes in them. Was that peeled? That's peeled. Peeled white scrapes in them, and made the white appear that which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks and the gutters, and the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods brought forth cattle, green, straight, speckled, and spotted. Yaakov did separate the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the green, straight, and all the brown of the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and then put not of Laban's cattle. And then so he did that, and then he, as the stronger ones began to conceive, as the stronger ones began to conceive, then he would put the rods in front of them, and as the weaker cattle began to conceive, he let them be quote unquote normal. I believe that this is some type of science. Well, I know it's some type of science. I don't necessarily know what he was doing, but obviously they had some information that we do not have in regards to how animals work. But if I'm not mistaken, it's some type of what's it called, shock or like trauma. So as they're giving birth, it's some type of trauma that kind of messes with their body, and it produces spotted, speckled, and whatever other sheep that they are. So that's what, I don't know how he did that. That's what he knew in order to do. So he did that, all right, boom. So then he becomes strong, so on and so forth. And then as you said, Aki, he takes his family and he leaves. All right, boom. So now we're getting toward the end of this part, then we gotta go back. All right, so then as he leaves, he takes his family, and what does his daughter say? He's like, okay, look, I gotta go. Your father, he ain't feeling me no more. Your brothers, they don't really like me no more either. We gotta go. What did the daughter say?
Didn't she want something for herself?
Who did? That was my next question. But who did? The other question still stands. What did the daughter say? But who did what? That's in chapter 31. Rachel did what? Okay. What did she take? Okay. It was an idol. I guess they didn't have pictures back then, but something like that. The idol. So she took the household items, because in that culture, in that culture, if you took the household items, then the inheritance would go to you. Right. So that's what Raquel did. Of course, Yaakov didn't know that. But the daughter said, we don't have an inheritance with our father. He already gave it away. So we're going with you. Okay, boom. So they do that, they leave, and then what does Laban do? Okay, he realizes he's going and chases. Okay, boom. So then they meet. What happens the night before Laban meets Yaakov? Okay, y'all read it.
But y'all say I didn't read it.
I didn't read that portion. I'm actually in Torah, but I heard it wrong.
Okay, so he said, yeah, don't speak good or bad to him, watch your mouth. So then he goes, Laban meets him, they, talk it out, whatever. And then Yaakov says something very interesting, which is going to be which is going to have the effect this Torah portion. What does Yaakov say to Laban in regards to the household idol?
And he basically kills whoever has it.
Okay, whoever has the idol, let them pretty much be dead, right? He didn't know. If you said that, you said it.
obviously didn't believe that the words meant anything that came out of his mouth, because at that moment she could have just been like, it was me.
Yeah, but that's Raquel. That was something that was inside of her. Okay, 31, 32. With whomsoever you find your gods, let him not live. Before our brethren serve what is yours for free and take it to you. Yaakov knew that was not that Raquel had stolen. Okay, so pretty much he put something in the air. All right, so then they make a covenant. Make a covenant that what? What does Laban say that Yaakov can't do? And then what are they both not supposed to do? Something along those lines. Okay.
On tells Yaakov that he's not to marry again.
Okay, so Yaakov could not have any other women but the four that he already has. So Yaakov can't marry anybody else. And then they make a pact together that neither one of them will what? You gotta speak up.
Cross the line.
Okay, cool. Hallelujah. 31:52. And Laban said, or 51. So 31:51. And Laban said to Yaakov, behold this heap and behold this pillar, which I have cast between me and you. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and that you will not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. And the Elohim of Abraham, Elohim of Nahor, and Elohim of their father judge betwixt us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Yitzchak. Then they sacrificed Laban, kissed his daughter, so on and so forth, and then he got up out of it. 32. And then it's the first 3 verses of 32, and first 2 verses of 32, and then that's when 12 verses. And Yaakov went on his way, and the Malachim of Elohim met him. And when Yaakov saw them, he said, this is Elohim's army. And he called the name of that place Mahanahim, which means 2 kings. All right, cool. So that's the end of this Torah portion, but we got to get back in the Torah portion. So, Leah's married first, Raquel's married, and then in that relationship, what begins to happen between the 2 sisters? Okay, they bump heads. Raquel is obviously the one that's loved, the one that's wanted. So then what does the Most High do? You say what's it?
So, does this mean like more of the sons?
Okay, cool. So she has how many children before she stops? Right. Yeah. Yeah, she has 6 sons, which I think the first four, right? So this is just a bonus question. So who's the first 4 sons? In order, can we get them in order? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's Torah back there. You better represent when you're lineage. Okay, so you got Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda. Okay, so as this line is happening, what's happening to Leah? As these children are being born, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, what is happening to Leah?
Not multiple, but she's like blessing her names and like most guys blessing it again. So right?
Okay, it does have something to do with that. She's getting more and more confident in what?
In the Creator.
Okay, so the firstborn is who again? Okay, and she says, look, a son. Look, a son. The Most High has blessed me. Surely Yaakov will love me. Secondborn is who? The Most High has heard Shema. The Most High has heard my cry. Surely my husband will love me now. The third son? Okay. The Most High has given me another son. Now my husband will be joined to me. Later, joined. The fourth one is, I will praise the name of Yah. What's the difference?
it was more about Yaakov, the first three, but when she got to the fourth one, it was about
Had nothing to do with each, had everything to do with the creator. That's all in, yeah, that's from verse 20, or chapter 29, from verse 31 to 35. So Leah is becoming more and more confident and more geared. Her focus shifts back to the creator and not her Ish, because her Ish at that particular time was her idol. So then once she understands who's really in control and who she's supposed to initially get love from, then her womb closes. All right, boom. So then Raquel is upset. She says, what do y'all call? She said, who? Okay, it's a part, that's part of it. What does Raquel say to Yaakov? Because Leah has now 4 sons. Okay, so she said, so what did he say? She said, give me children or else I'm gonna kill you. Well, actually, she didn't say I'm gonna kill you, she said I'm gonna die. All right, but okay, give me children or else I'm gonna die. And Yaakov says, I'm not the most high. All right, boom. So then Raquel does what? Not yet. What does Raquel do? Because she can't have children.
She gets her handmaid.
Okay, Bilhah. And Bilhah has Naphtali. No, Dan and Naphtali. Okay, Dan and Naphtali. So then Leah gives Yaakov who? Okay, Zilpah. So then she has Gad and Asher. Okay, so you got Reuben, Shimeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All right, boom. So then after that, that's where the mandrakes come, right? The mandrakes, and then who has 2 more children? Leah. She has Issachar, and she has Zebulon. She has who else? Okay. Who was supposed to be a twin, but that's can't deny nor confirm that. But okay, so that's it. So Leah has 7 children. What's your question?
Wait, what? 7, you talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Leah has 6 sons, 1 daughter.
Oh.
Everybody else has 2. All right, boom. So so we so what? Anyway. Oops. All right, so everybody else has 2. We got 12 sons and a daughter. All right, so now we get to this week's Torah portion. Why you wait Shabbat or in he said. All right, so Bereshit chapter 32, starting at verse 3. It reads, and Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau, your servant Yaakov. Your servant Yaakov says thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and donkeys, flocks, and manservants, and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in this sight. And the messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, he came to your brother Esau, and he also comes to meet you, 400 men with him. Then Yaakov was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks, and herds, and the camels, into 2 bands, and said, if Esau come to the one company, smite it, and the other company which is left shall escape. And Yaakov said, O Elohim of my father, Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of my father Yitzchak. Yaakov said unto me, return. Yahuwah said, which said unto me, return unto your country and to your kindred, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies, of all the truth, which you have showed unto your servant. For with my staff I passed over this Yarden, and now I am become 2 armies. or 2 kings. Deliver me, I pray you, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him. Lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. And you said, I will surely do you good, and make your seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there the same night, and took of that which came to his hand, a present for Esau his brother. 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine, 10 bulls, 20 she-donkeys, and 10 foals, and delivered them to the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meets you, and ask you, saying, whose are you, and where go you, and whose are these before you? And you shall say, they be your servant Yaakov's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second, the third, and all that followed the droves, saying, on this manner shall ye speak unto Esau, when ye find him. And say ye moreover, behold, your servant Yaakov is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and after I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 women, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Yabok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Yaakov was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Yaakov's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. And he said, I will not let you go, except you bless me. And he said unto him, what is your name? And he said, Yaakov. And he said, your name shall be called no more Yaakov, but Israel. But as a prince have you power with Elohim and with men, and have prevailed. And Yaakov asked him, and said, tell me, I pray you, your name. And he said, wherefore is it that you do ask after my name? He blessed him there. And Yaakov called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and my life is preserved. And he has passed over, as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose up upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not the sinew of the shrine, which is upon the hollow of the thigh to this day, because he touched the hollow of Yaakov's thigh and the sinew that shrank. All right, I wanted to read the whole chapter first before I ask questions. All right, so couple questions. So he sends messengers to go meet Esau, and Esau says, all right, cool. I'm coming to see my brother, 400 men. All right. So what's the first thing that comes upon Yitzchak? What happens to Yitzchak?
He's afraid.
Okay. He's immediately fearful. So now he's thinking, he's going back and forth, trying to figure out how to get his brother off his back. Now, 400 men, right? But why did he come with 400 men? Do we see any other instances where 400 men can let us know why he came with 400 men?
Maybe you still mad about that blessing, or taking that.
Okay. So he's
First, First, 22. But I also talks about 400.
yeah, okay. Chapter 22, verse 2. Now we have 400 men in the cave, right? There were 400 men that came from the cave. In the same book, chapter 30. Let's go there real quick. Chapter 30, first chapter 30. Chapter 30, verse 10. Dawid had 600 men that were with him. But something happened. So first Samuel chapter 30, starting at verse 10, single belly out.
Yeah.
First Samuel, first Samuel chapter 30, starting at verse 10. But Dawid pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 of both behind, which were so faint that they could not go over and broke their sword. And they found a minstrel or Egyptian in the field and brought him to Dawid. They gave him bread and he did eat, and they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. Dawid said unto him, to whom you belong? Whence are you? He said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite. And my master left me because 3 days ago and I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Kerathim, upon the coast which belongs to Yehuda, upon the south of Caleb. And we burned Ziklag with fire. And Dawid said to him, can you bring me down to this country? And he said, swear to me by Elohim, that you will neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master. I'll bring you down to this country. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad all upon the earth, eating and drinking and dancing because of the great spoil they had taken them out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Yehuda. And Dawid smote them from twilight even until the evening of the next day. And there did not escape the man, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels and fled. Dawid recovered all that Amalekite had carried away. Dawid rescued his 2 wives. So we see 400 men. We see that here, and we also see something that we're going to touch on a little bit later. As far as when did he attack? Kind of at twilight. Okay. 400 soldiers.
Yeah, he sent 400 men is when he got Abigail too.
He already had 400 men. So
I mean,
the 400 men was
the
going to
400 just was doing a whole lot.
well, the 400 was always going to be with him because that's the army. He's captive, so the army goes with the captive.
What is the 400?
400 means covered, or 400 number.
And that was the same amount that he charged for Akiva and Magdala for Sarah.
Charge 400 shekels? You sure? There's nothing to do with it, but yeah, 400 shekels. We also have 400 people. Anybody heard of Maryland's 400? Just another instance. Maryland's 400. So I was just looking up army and what the meaning of 400. I came across this instance. It's at the Battle of Brooklyn, the Revolutionary War. Right? Revolutionary War. George Washington is getting beat up, and they're about to actually lose the war. So as they're trying to escape, 400 volunteers, including business owners, just children of the rich, also black, free and slave. 400 people pretty much did a suicide mission in order to make sure that George Washington and them were able to get away. They went against 30,000 troops at the Battle of Brooklyn. But I just thought that was interesting. But so Esau's coming with 400 men. This is what that's enforcing. Esau's coming with 400 men in order to come see his brother. Right? So Yaakov, he sends gifts to his brothers, so on and so forth. Then he prays, right? So he goes from fear to prayer, back to fear. Which does that help? You think that his prayer in verses what? That's verse 9 through 12, where he speaks back the covenant to the Creator, and so on and so forth. Right? He brings back the covenant and brings back the words of God back to him. Then he goes right back, and then he's still making provisions. Is that, or do you think that's out of fear, or do you just think that's out of preparation? He's making droves, he's sending presents and stuff to Esau, so on and so forth.
I mean, it does say, I'm sorry.
No, I think that's out of fear. It's kind of like, if you want to get the right answer, someone you give them a gift, versus give them some food or something.
I mean, it is, you have a way, but we think something should be a certain way, time, where is that way? So he was just doing his way first, and in prayer, hoping that the Most High would correct that path, just like you say, Aviar go before us, make the crooked path straight, so it's kind of the same thing, you still have to protect.
So at first it was fear, then he prays, and I don't believe it goes back to fear, because the Most High, we'll be seeing the next chapter that the Most High kind of, with the gifts, that did kind of make Esau slow down. Now, I know, we get taken slow, we'll get to that, as far as why the heart change, right? All right, boom, so then he does all that, and he goes by himself. So he moves all his family over to the other side of the brook, and he goes by himself. And then what happens? When he's by himself.
That man.
Okay. Wrestles with a man, right? Wrestles with a man, and he's having a conversation with the man as they're fighting. Because he don't really know why he's fighting, I guess. He wrestles with him, he asks him to bless him. Now, who is this man? Who's messenger?
You're a messenger of God.
Why are you saying he's a messenger of God?
I would say when you first read it, when I first read it, I just thought it was a man. When you go down to verse 30, it says, Yaakov called the name of this place Peniel, and for I have seen Elohim face to face, but I couldn't observe.
So is it a messenger of God, or is it somebody else's messenger?
Messenger of God.
Why do you say it's a messenger of God?
It says that verse 28, that you're stricken with God and within and have prevailed.
Okay, so say you're stricken with Elohim, or I believe it even says it's in the singular, but you're stricken with El, right? And with man. What does the word El mean?
Does it mean power?
Okay. It just means power, right? So is every power Elohim? You're stricken with Elohim and with man, and it prevailed. Is every power the most high power? As in Yahweh? Okay, cool. So that's one, right? Two, when have you seen a messenger come and not come in the name of the Creator?
Never. Most High would only, allow for his will to be spoken. It wouldn't.
So
I don't know if I'm good at this, but
no, you
it
can
would
have
happen
it.
to the past. And then, a person's life is on the line because weakness.
Okay, so you mean like a prophet messenger? I'm talking about a messenger, or what they call an angel. So when does an angel speak to man and not come in the name of the Creator, but they're from the Creator?
But you are, okay, well, I thought it was kind of.
No, it's not. I don't do all trick questions. Go ahead.
Possibly, the Nakash in the garden, but the Malak came from Bereshit 6.
Malachi from Bereshit 6.
Because they taught man this and that, but the Most High didn't tell them to do that. So they didn't come in the name of the Most High.
Okay, so yes, so exactly. So my question is, when has a messenger actually come in the name of the, will come to do God's will without saying that they come from the Creator? That doesn't happen. Right? Yeah, I thought you were talking about prophecy, but yes, so if that's the case, then you also gotta speak up. Anyway, okay, so with that being said, right, if that's the case, when does he say that he comes from Yah?
After when he blesses.
Is that even a blessing?
Have all said, eyes open to tell people. And like I was saying, I know this is kind of prophecy, but a messenger is also a prophet. They're sending a message that's right. It would have to be from the message of the high. So it would, there's like no way around it. Only a real messenger is a person that has to be giving accurate information.
If it's from the, so only the Creator has messengers?
No, but we're talking about the most high.
Yeah, so I'm saying, whose messenger is this? My question is, whose messenger is this?
If it's not Yah, it's your time.
It's a messenger from Yah.
This passage don't sound equal at all.
Okay, so, couple questions. When has a messenger of Yah, just put that in there, when has a messenger of Yah ever fought with man? Ever fought with the righteous man? He said that. When has a angel, just to keep it simple, when has an angel of Yah came and fought with a righteous man?
With Yaakov, when he changed his name to Israel, like what we're just talking about?
What other passage? So, but we do know that they fight on our behalf. They fight on our behalf, but have they ever fought us if we're in a righteous state? I'll keep saying that part. Yaakov is righteous. Okay, so that's one, right? This is probably the main question. When does Yah lose? When does the Creator lose? And does he have to cheat in order to even attempt to win? So if we're fighting, not pulling your hip out the socket, I just cheated. Because now you are no longer in your complete state. And then you don't, if your hip is out of socket and you're still wrestling with me, how are you still able to prevail? If it's from Yah.
I don't know if it's that literal, you know what I'm saying? I think maybe it's an allegory for a different meaning.
Okay, so then I was gonna come to that, but you brought it up first. So then my question would be, when he woke up from his dream, why is his hip out first? If it's an allegory, right? If it's an allegory, because I've heard that before, especially when, these scientific people, they be like, well, the pineal gland, yeah, they say all that, right? And they bring them up to, well, why is his hip out of place if it's a dream? Why does he wake up and all of a sudden he's limping? That part would have to be answered if it's just an allegory, which I can see the allegory later, right? We can go that route, but on a foundational basis, his hip is out. Go ahead.
See, when I think of that passage, I think about when the Messiah says, if your eye causes you to sin, cast it out, and or whatnot. So I'm thinking like maybe this is the same, like he had him overcoming sin, he had to lose like a body part, something like that.
So then what sin did he commit?
I mean, it says he prevailed.
Okay, which means to overcome, right? Or to, yeah, so what did he overcome other than the mala?
No, I was gonna say,
So it's
I take that back. If I throw out 15.
so he But he doesn't say you overcame fear. Could he not have overcome fear when he started to send the droves off? It's kind of like, for example, right, and then we'll get back to who this message is. Something's happened, right? Somebody's coming or something like that, right? So your mind is everywhere. Then you pray. You settle yourself, and now the Most High tells you how to move. So could the fear have already been overcome when after the prayer, and now he's sending the droves, knows how to do so on and so forth? Or because after that, it doesn't say anything about fear after that. He speaks about the fear in his prayer, and then after that, you don't hear about it. He does what he does, he moves his family, and now he's fighting with the man.
Maybe, was that a test, maybe?
What, the messenger?
Yeah, that whole situation was wrestling with the man.
I believe it was. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna touch it to just a second. Go ahead.
So is there a connection between, say right there, his name was just changed to Israel? You stop hearing about the fear, he starts to walk differently until he loses yourself, and then he kind of goes back into a certain state. Then the text actually, the person is Yaakov again. So is there kind of any connection to that? Fear already?
So Yaakov is the human man. Israel is the man at his spiritual peak, right? So yes, in a sense, but even with the name change, where do you see anybody else's name is changed outside of it being by the Creator? Who else gets a name change that is not done by Yah? And even with this, later on, which I don't have to talk about it now. Later on in chapter 35, why does the Creator have to reiterate what this messenger said? If this messenger was already from the Creator. What you got to say, bro?
Some thought is that, the Malachim was his brother's guardian angel that he wrestled with.
It's not a question.
I didn't say it was.
Yes, we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so since you brought it up, well, first I gotta ask my question. When does the Most High reiterate what the messenger already said?
He doesn't nothing without first revealing it to.
So it's like the Most High comes in the form of a messenger and say, hey, how are you? Matter of fact, when no. All right, I may be wrong with that. Give me a second. Okay, no, okay. That's the incident. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, whenever they lose faith, to confirm what has already been said, put a stamp.
Is the Most High repeating himself, or is he reiterating what the messenger said?
Reiterate what the message said, right?
Wait,
So where?
yes, now you got.
Man, I'm trying to figure out what you trying to get to.
So, okay, all right, so kind of going back to the Kaios here, right? This messenger, in my opinion, is not a messenger of the Creator. It is the guardian of Esau. And before, y'all trying to pick up books and formats, go ahead.
So then, if that's the case, then why do we call ourselves Israelites then? Or like, if it ain't from y'all?
But it is from God.
I didn't get your question.
He's saying, why do we call ourselves Israel if the name change was not from the Creator, but it was from the Creator? It just was taken from the Creator.
Oh, I got you, because he did read it, that's why you asked the question.
That's why I said.
Why would the spirit reiterate it? Meaning, it was already given, so I don't know. That he asked. But
Give me a second, I'm gonna get my text.
it's, you know, how people like, I talked to my ancestors.
Right.
That's unfamiliar spirit.
Right.
So unfamiliar spirit takes what is already supposed to be given to you and tries to give it to you ahead of time. So like people become psychics and things like that. They think they're downloading information, but it's just familiar spirits. So it's the same thing here. The Most High doesn't have to reiterate something to you. He may be giving you a blessing, but an unfamiliar spirit can come to you and give it to you before the Most High did. But that was the Most High's blessing. He's doing it so that you can follow him. So you'll hear it and like, oh, that's what's telling me I'm gonna follow that. But 9 times out of 10, that's not the creator. But it doesn't mean that it's not your blessing. He just trying to dangle something. It's kind of like Hakatan in the garden. I'm coming to dangle something so that you turn away from the creator.
But in that sense, they lie.
I mean, it is a lie, but they are.
So, a familiar spirit, well, first let me go to why I say that this is a, right, go to Daniel chapter 10. Okay, all right, Daniel chapter 10, starting at verse 10. It says, and behold, a hand touched me. So he has a vision, you know, he's in prayer, verse 9, yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, and I was in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hand. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you. Stand upright. Unto you am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then he said unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you did set your heart to understand, to chasten yourself before your Elohim, your words were heard, and I am come for your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, withstood me 21 days. But lo, Mikael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. So who's the prince of the kingdom of Persia? Not what is his name, but go ahead.
Does that go back to, I might be getting the chapter wrong, but maybe it's 30 where it talks about how the nations have power set over them based off the number of children of Israel.
Deuteronomy 32. So in Deuteronomy 32, it speaks about the Most High dividing the land or dividing the nations up according to, in our version, it says the children of Jacob. But in the original version, it said children said the son of Elohim, which is talking about angels. Right? So, and just to back that up even more, let's go to Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. And at that time shall Mikael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of the people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, to that same time, even at that time, the people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in this book. So it talks about our chief prince, right? Or the prince of Israel, who is Michael. Michael is the prince or the angel that is over Israel. He's the chief prince, right, of Israel. Edom has one. We just read that Persia has one. Every nation has a spiritual being that is over them. So when you go back to Exodus chapter, Bereshit 32, right? And it speaks of this messenger, right? This messenger speaks the name of Israel, knowing that this man is supposed to be a nation, which was already promised, Israel. So as Khalil said, as far as familiar spirits are psychics and all of that, they get their information from familiar spirits, which is why the Creator told us to do what? Not to deal with it, because you're getting your information from a different spirit and not his spirit. So every nation has their own spirit. So when you go here, this is the spirit of Esau. Well, I would say the chief prince of Edom fighting against Yaakov, and he can't overcome Yaakov.
So speaking of, I would leave too far off track, but that prophet that was supposed to eat one drink until, you know what I'm talking about? numerous, I think, kings or something like that.
Okay.
And other prophet that kings was like, so would you call that one of them familiar spirits or else from y'all test?
I would say that was more of a test. Because he wasn't called a false prophet. He was called the old prophet. So the old prophet gave a word in order to test the young prophet. Young prophet. I hope I'm making sense, but I'm not, kind of making y'all crazy. But for example, right? This happened at nighttime. Usually at night, spirits dwell and they move more at nighttime than they do in the day. Right? For example, when we read 2 Kings chapter 7, and it's talking about the leaders or the lepers being outside the camp, and they have to and outside the camp, they go into the camp of Syria. And it says that the camp is empty because the Syrians heard noises or wind, so on and so forth. It sounded like chariots, it sounded like horses. You were on the last night, so you get. So it sounded like all of that. That happened at twilight, which is the dark right before dawn. This angel says, what about dawn? In Genesis 32, he says what in regards to daybreak? It'll probably be the break of day as opposed to dawn. Let me go for the day breaks. So before the light becomes one, right, and I am revealed, let me go. So the spirits move at night. For another example, right? Ima Shushani, she told a story about how she was in, I believe, Vegas, right? And at nighttime she couldn't sleep. The Most High had her up praying, spiritual warfare. And as she found out in the morning that there were witches, warlocks, and Wiccans right next door to her. So she was up praying or doing spiritual warfare. Usually, Aisha's up at 12 at night, and she can't go to sleep, and she has to be up praying. So at nighttime, that's when spiritual warfare occurs. Same thing that's going on here. This is spiritual warfare with Yaakov. We have spiritual warfare, which is why we are to be praying at night before we sleep, so on and so forth. It's spiritual warfare that affects your natural life. And just another one, then we'll get off this, right? When Stephen Darby, right? I'm not sure if y'all know Stephen Darby. He was, look him up on YouTube. He has the bald head.
Oh, he passed away, right? Got killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, he sounds too happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I was playing. But yeah, he got taken out. But he had a lesson one time. He was talking about witches and warlocks and stuff like that, right? And how they try to put voodoo and hexes on people. But sometimes the spirit that they're operating in has to come back to them and say that I can't touch it. Meaning that the spirit that is on ooze, I can't do anything to him because his spirit is stronger than me. Where do you see that in the scriptures? And there's another passage that's in Torah that is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Balaam is hired to do what?
curse Israel.
Okay, but he says I can't do what? I can't curse him because the Most High already blessed him. So what you want me to do, I can't do because they got the Most High Spirit. And he told me I can't do anything. So the same thing is happening here, even with, to me, the guardian angel of the prince, I'll say chief prince of Esau, coming against Yaakov. He can't do it, which is why he said you have prevailed against man and mighty or divine beings. In chapter 35, when the Most High changes his name, I'll just read that part real quick. So let's look at chapter 35, Genesis chapter 35, verse 9. Chapter 35, verse 9. And it says, Elohim appeared unto Yaakov again when he came out of Padan Aram and blessed him. Elohim said unto him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called anymore Yaakov, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel. Did he say because you have struggled with man and with divine being, and now I'm changing your name to no? He just said your name is Israel, which means that whatever the Malach is talking about is not why the creator changed his name.
I'm sorry, are you talking about, what did Mama say?
Okay, the Malach said that your name shall be no more. Verse 28, your name shall be called no more Yaakov, but Israel. For as a prince you have power with Elohim and with male to have prevailed. So really it says you have strong with men Elohim to have prevailed. So some people say Israel is prince of Elohim, right? Or strive with Elohim and with men, they get that from here. Strive with men and Elohim and have prevailed. That's from this particular passage. But okay, I say all that to say, I don't think that this messenger is from Elohim. I think this is Edom. And there's a passage in chapter 33 that we're going to read that I think further solidifies my case. All right, chapter 33. Does anybody have any questions in the first lesson?
So pretty much what you're saying is it still came from God, but not the angel that's over Israel. The angel that's over Edom.
What came from God? The name change.
The name change.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
The name change came from the creator. He just told Yaakov first.
I got you. I was gonna ask, why would a messenger of Esau strive with Jacob? Is it because Esau hating?
Yeah, Esau's coming to do what? Okay, so if my prince can overcome yours, then and Middle Eastern ancient culture, right? When nations fought, their thought was the princes or the principalities over those particular nations are fighting. So if Israel fought against Midian, right? Then they're saying that the principality of Israel, Mikael, right, is fighting against whoever is over Midian. So they're fighting. And then whichever army wins, that's who God won. Which is why they say the Most High El, that's a title given to whoever conquers whoever. In Middle Eastern culture. We call our Yahweh Most High El because he's the creator. But in Middle Eastern culture, the Most High El was whoever won battles and so forth. So whoever El was on top, that's the Most High power, because they all have power. If that makes sense. Yes.
Well, I was saying that's the same thing with different states that you go to. You go to different states, they have a principality or L over that state, which is why you go to up north, up north, they move differently. You come down south, they move different. You know what I mean? It's the power or the principality that is over that place that causes you to move differently when you're in that place.
Every area, like, yeah, you go to different places, you're like, I feel weird here, but I don't even want to be here. That's because you just moved into a different jurisdiction. Okay, all right, so I know a couple. All right, cool. So chapter 33. Chapter 33. Yaakov lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the two handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph and he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. To me, that's one point, because if your spirit can't be my spirit, then would you, yeah. You're gonna want to be my friend. Y'all looking at me crazy. Is that if whoever your power, exactly. If you can't beat me, then you don't want to be cool with me because your power just got beat up. Which Yaakov is going to tell you. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, who are those with you? And he said, the children which Elohim has graciously given his servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children. and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Yosef near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, what do you mean by all this drove which I met? He said, these are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that you have unto yourself. And Yaakov said, nay, I pray you, if I have found grace in your sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen your face, as though I have seen the face of Elohim, and you were pleased with me. Didn't he just say that in chapter 32? What did he call the place? For I have, verse 30, and Yaakov called the name of the 32:30. And Yaakov called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and my life is preserved. Now 33, he says, for seeing your face is like seeing the face of Elohim. What so Esau looks like Elohim. Yeah. Okay, I see your power. I just see your power, and I beat him up. So it's a listen. This is just my case. I have to plead for this part. Okay, verse 7. Yaakov said, nay, I pray you, now I found grace in your sight, that receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen your face, as though I have seen the face of Elohim, and you were pleased with me. Take, I pray you, my blessing that is brought to you, because Elohim has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took him. And he said, let us take our journey, let us go. And I will go before you. And he said unto him, my Lord knows that the children I tended, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. That men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray you, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goes before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord, unto Seir. And Esau said, let me now leave with you some of the folk that are with me. And he said, let me find grace in thy sight of my Lord. So Esau returned on that day on his way unto Seir. Yaakov journeyed to Sukkot, built him a house, and made sukkahs for his cattle. Therefore the name of that place, Sukkot. And Yaakov came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram. And he pitched his tent before the city, and bought a parcel of the field, where he was spread his tent at the head of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it El Elohei Yisrael. El Elohei Yisrael. All right, so let me deal with that. All right, boom. So we have a situation to be, once again, they're speaking in code. Yaakov letting them know what's up. And now Esau wants to pretty much bring him to his place. Why is he insisted on making sure he knows where Yaakov is going? And why does Yaakov not want to go?
Yaakov gotta go back to the promised land. Esau right next door. Esau had to get back to Canaan.
So Esau already has his inheritance, which is where Seir, Seir, and Yaakov is on his way. Well, he's really trying to go back to his father's house. All right. So Esau on the same day. So he came all the way with 400 men, and then now he's leaving the next day. Yaakov, he goes Sukkot, which is why we call it Sukkot. And then verse 20, he said he erected there an altar and called it El Elohei Yisrael. Why is that important? El Elohei Yisrael means the El of Israel. Verse 20, 33:20. Go ahead. I was just telling them what the name means. El Elohei Israel. El, the power of Israel.
That's when he saw or became a power.
Yaakov. answer me something else.
What was the question again?
Why is it important that, why did he call it El Elohe Yisrael? Or power, El, power of Israel.
Because they're really close. They're like little elves, where the he's trying to distinguish between. Never mind, I don't know.
Well, there are, but there, okay, let's break it down. El, right, so they call Yah El at times, right, as in power, right? Elohe Yisrael, that means power of, or El, or God of Israel. So he took the name change one, right? He's Israel, and he's calling who is Elohim?
Yeah.
El, or Yah. So that's important because when we go back to the vow, what was the vow?
Serve so be.
If he brought him back safely, right? If you bring me back safely, you will become my Elohim. So, okay, because the only obstacle that he had on the way out, one was Laban, two was Esau. So on his way out, he overcomes Laban because of El, and now Esau because of El. So now you are now my El. So that's why that's important. So he's pretty much recognizing or acknowledging the vow that he gave to the Lord. 2 more chapters. 34, verse 34, well, chapter 34. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bore unto Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Kittite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. And he loved the damsel and spoke kindly of the damsel. And Shechem spoke unto his father Hamor, saying, give me this damsel to be my wife. And Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Yaakov held his peace until they were come. All right, so let me read it. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Yaakov to be with him. And the son of Yaakov came out of the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel, and lying with Yaakov's daughter, which they ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with him, saying, the soul of my son Shechem belongs to your daughter. I pray you give her him to be his woman, and make ye marriages with us. Give us daughters unto us. Take our daughters unto you. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get ye possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brother, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me, I will give. Ask me never so much dowry, give, and I will give according as you shall say unto me. But give me the damsel to be my woman. And the sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor, his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. All right, so I'm gonna stop there real quick. Couple questions. One, the first 3 verses, right? Why does verse 1 says Dinah, the daughter of Leah, and then verse 3 says Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov? Are we not aware that Dinah is the daughter of Yaakov and Leah? Why is
That their children for different women, so they specify which ones are mothers.
okay? So if that's the case, right? It says Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bore unto Yaakov. But then verse 3 it says, and his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. Well, you just told us in verse 1 that Leah bore him to Yaakov.
Well, I mean, doesn't that define her character?
What do you mean?
Well, saying who her mother was is an idea of where the story is about to go.
So why is that important? Why is it important? What is it trying to say in regards to Dinah's personality due to Leah that makes this happen. Because all of that is in verse 1. Leah, the daughter of Leah, Dinah, the daughter of Leah.
Well, we already know how Leah was,
So what the,
her longing to be loved and all that, the naiveness.
naive, she's
Yeah.
very sensitive. Okay, so Leah is what in the house? She's probably, well, we know that she's what?
The wife. What you mean, like?
Dinah.
Oh, Dina, the only
Okay,
girl.
she's the only girl. She's the only girl in the house. Only young lady in the house, right? So, and because of Leah, she's sensitive. Because of Leah, she longs for love. And now she goes out in order to get companionship with the daughters of the family. All right, so there's verse 3. Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. What does Yaakov have to do with why he loved and spoke kindly to him? What does Yaakov have to do with why Shechem loved and spoke kindly to him?
It'd be because he knew who Yaakov was. He tried to get him to family, I guess, somehow.
That's part of it. Yes. That along with Yaakov's personality. Yaakov was, smart, well-rounded, so on and so forth. The same thing that tells you about Yaakov when he's born in the house. Same thing that Dinah is. So Dinah is sensitive, she's lovable, she's well-rounded, she's educated, all of that. So he humbled her and did all that, but then now he wants her. All right. So verse 4. Now Shechem says, "Get me this woman to be my wife." Why is that? What we do for it. So why is she not already his wife?
The nations of
Say that again, sister.
you repeat the question.
I said, why is Dinah not already married to Shechem after he humbled?
That's not how that works. You have to actually you don't just do whatever and think that you're gonna get married to them. You didn't even ask her parents. Like it was. There's no dowry. There was no meeting. He didn't go through the custom.
Wasn't approved by Jacob.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say that. There was no covenant, no agreement.
I was gonna ask, are you trying to also say that sex is not?
Oh, yeah, just throw stuff out there. You can say intercourse or, conjugal activity. No, you good. Go for it. Oh, yeah, okay, so that's one that's not marriage, of course, because the father didn't agree, there was no dowry, there was no contract. So now the father has to come, right? Now the father has to come, and the brothers are mad because they understand the process. How do we already understand the process? Jacob had to do it, and grandfather had to do it. So they already knew that the process is gifts, dowry, we need to see you, we need to do all that. Now, you say my sister, okay. So
That was from a different nation. He was an Israelite.
who? Well, yeah, but
Which
okay.
doesn't make it any better if he was an Israelite.
So one, Isaac wasn't an Israelite. This is before the law too. And then you also have Shechem, right? So it's
I think the main thing was like we were talking about before.
yeah, but that
So I'll just.
you're good. It's the culture of that time period and the culture of that region. So everybody knew most of the marriage process, right? Or the process of marriage. There's covenant, dowry, then there's conjugal rights at the end. All right, so there's 13. The sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, the secret. He said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister, And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us. And we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delighted in Yaakov's daughter. And he was more honorable than all the house of his father. Man, this stuff is dirty. I don't want to do this. And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came to the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein for the land. Behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us to put forward them. Let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people. If every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised, shall not their cattle and their substance, every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem the son, hearken all that went out of the gate of the city, and every male was circumcised. All that went out of the gate of the city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brother, took each man his sword and came into the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Yaakov came into the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took the sheep and their oxen and their donkeys, and that which was in the city, and they which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their women took they captive, and spoiled even that was in the house. Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanite and the Perizzites. And now being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against you to slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with the harlot? At the beginning, I was like, this is dirty. I mean, he's a prick, so he probably laid with a lot of girls first and then didn't marry them. So he didn't know. I mean, he didn't.
But it was, even their mindset was like, yeah, we can do this, we can do wives, we can livestock, like, their mindset wasn't even just, you know what I'm saying? It was a compromise from the beginning, even they were just looking to what they would achieve by doing this. And not, it wasn't no for money.
It was quite pretty from the beginning. All right, so, all right. What other story in scripture is quite similar to this?
That Benjamin girl.
Well, nah, she was given. Somebody Benjamin, and she put him outside. Yeah, he not. The priest gave them his concubine.
I thought they took her rape first.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I thought he gave him.
They raped him and then he split the piece.
Okay, so one lady was cut up and sent everywhere. But then he also took one and put it outside. And they did whatever they wanted to, and they pretty much ran through her all night, and she died.
Yeah, that's the same person. But,
Oh,
like that was,
second cat,
like that was.
Tamar,
Oh,
Tamar. So second Shemuel, chapter 13. All right, second Shemuel, chapter 13, starting at verse 1. So, and it came to pass after this, 13. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, but she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Benadad, the son of Shema, David's brother. And Benadad was a very supple man. And he said unto them, why are you, being the king's son, leading from day to day? Will you not tell me? And Amnon said unto her, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Yonadab said unto him, lay down on your bed, make yourself sick, and when your father comes to see you, say unto him, I pray you, let my sister Tamar come and give me food, and dress the food in my sight, that I may see it and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick, and the king was come to see him. Amnon said unto the king, I pray you let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, go down to your brother Amnon's house, and dress him food. Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he lay down. She took flour and kneaded it and made cakes in the sight, and did make the cakes. She took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, have all the men from me. And they went out every man. And Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of your hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not think this foolishness. And now, whither shall I cause my shame to go? As for you, you shall be as one of the fools of Israel. Now therefore I pray you, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from you. Howbeit he will not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she forced her and lay with her. How was, I guess she was lying to you, everybody was lying. Because she said, my father would not withhold me from you. So could King David give Tamar to Amnon? Because she's not technically a full sister, right? It's still against Torah. You shall not sleep with your sister, either the daughter of your father or the daughter of your mother. So that wasn't to be done at all. Right? All right, boom. So you see, this happened, and now what does King David do? Nothing. He does the same thing that Yaakov does. But who does do something?
Was it, just captain general?
Absalom. It said,
Oh, no, that's right.
verse 28. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say unto you, smite Amnon and kill him. Fear not, have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant, slightly. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. And all the king's sons arose, and every man got him upon his mule and fled. Okay. So Amnon is the one, just like Shimeon and Levi, to handle the business, right? All due to what? Okay. And one word would be honor. Now I'll take y'all probably back years ago, other than Anastasia, because she probably still watching this shit. Minister Society. What happened in Minister Society? We're talking about honor. I'm just letting y'all know that it goes all the way back up to what happened in Minister Society. Why you look at me like, what happened? Oh dang, not that one. That's still Minister Society. But the other, the OG one. No, the OG one, not the Wayans brothers, the real Minister Society. And it wasn't Jada Pinkett, it was something else. I know y'all seen this.
I ain't talking about that's the reason why Cain got shot, because he slept
Cain.
with her. Yeah.
He slept with, so Cain slept with some chick, right, and got her pregnant. So then when she called him, Cain was like, look, you'll be a great single mother, I ain't dealing with it. So then that's when the OG ran up on him for the honor of his cousin, right? They beat him up. Sounds great. They beat him up, and then he came back and he killed him. It's it's all based upon the same situation, which is honor. So we are to take care of the daughters of Zion. Torah says you are not to do what to the daughter of Zion. Okay, cause her to be a harlot or defile her. You would defile her by causing her to be a harlot. How do you make a daughter of Zion a harlot? Okay, by just sleeping with her and then leaving her on her way. That means that now she is defiled. She is defiled. She brought the shame, and now she brought shame on her father's house, and more than likely she's not going to be married. Now today, 2021. Anything goes. But when we get back into the cultural aspect, I say anything goes. I saw your face.
No. I know what you meant. I was just like,
Oh.
I agree with you. That's
Okay. I was like, but yeah, I just said anything goes in the world. So we see this happen continuously. But as we get back to the culture, we don't do that. When we deal with the woman, we're dealing with her to make her our woman, and not to make her a harlot in this life. All right, so was this, they kill animals too, but was this righteous? Was this righteous what they did?
What's the question?
Yes.
Was it righteous what they did? Go ahead, I see you shaking, I'm gonna get you too, and I'm gonna understand why you said that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say, no, just for the simple fact that they had their land divided in it. So I'm gonna say no.
So you say no, why you say no, and I'll get to why you say yes. Why you say no, Shmuel?
I would say because while they circumvent the proper process, I guess maybe something still could have been arranged to be in righteousness. They didn't really have the right to do that because that's just something like that's about, like that's the guard righteousness, his family, just a law making a rash decision. And not even on top of that, it's looking at the heart. It's not because like we're doing the right thing. We're doing this because we have hatred in our heart. This excuse. And then the animals, hamstring, that's an example of what else is in. And kind of prove like this is why they were wicked. This is why the Most High said they should get it later to their part.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna come back to you, and hold on real quick. Why you say yes?
Well, that comment just made me want to change my. I say it was I say it was a righteous because my sister. You know what I'm saying? In short.
Okay, so go ahead, Jay.
I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say it was righteous. Now I think about it when in Numbers 25 when they had committed whoredom with the women. I think it was Midian. I forgot which nation it was. And Phoenix had killed the dude. He told the Most High. Well, the Most High told him to kill everyone. Party with them or sacrifice to this. So I'm gonna say it was righteous.
Everybody got a vote.
Right, but if the Most High isn't like the one saying that this is justified, it's what we to take our pride or our like emotion and make it justified.
Okay, so then questions would be, as you said, when you're sitting back there, so I guess you're a different person up here.
Yeah, I'm different.
Okay, cool, we got it covered. All right, so up here, right, well, back there, you said that, that the hearts of Shechem weren't pure.
They weren't.
So, all right, so then now, if you defile my sister, we got a problem with it, and we only kill the father and Shechem, what's gonna occur?
The rest of them going to kill you too.
Okay,
They're
so
gonna
now,
retaliate.
okay, so the only way that we can do this and kind of live is we gotta kill everybody.
Right, but what justifies when they kill everybody because they tore this girl? Like, is it not, this is my question, right? Because if we look at like that, like, we can be vengeful in a lot of situations that don't necessarily make it justified. Because we have to be mindful about humbling our, I'm not saying what they did was right. What I'm saying is that just because it wasn't right, does that mean that that's how most I want them to handle it?
Okay, so. Go ahead.
I would say the agreement part was wrong. They went against the word. They said, they were giving their daughters to them, they would take their daughters. But instead they
Yeah, so they did lie. Yeah, they definitely lied.
it goes, so it was, yeah, that part.
I mean, they might not lie, they was like probably sitting at home thinking about like, so we just gonna let them try us like that, and then they mind might change.
They said that, verse 16, they said it become one people. So that was an agreement.
So, okay, so then why didn't Yaakov stop it?
You know, that's what they were saying.
Well, I'm not that one, but even the conversation with the brothers in Shechem and Hamor. It said that Yaakov held his peace until the brothers came. But when the brothers came, the brothers took off. Which, in another case of marriage, which brother did all the negotiations? Yes, okay, so in Torah, somebody else came in order to negotiate marriage, and it was a brother who did all the negotiations. We just talked about it, like previous, which the only other written is 34, but the past, who else got married before this? For this whole portion, who else got married? When we see the process of marriage.
Jacob,
Isaac, okay, so who did he marry? Okay, and who was her brother? Cain. Laban did the same thing. So when Eleazar came, right, Laban did all the negotiations. The same thing is happening here. The sons are doing all the negotiations. So the sons, yeah, they made it. You can't get around that they were deceived. Even says in the scripture. They did deceive him. But now my question is, so when you go to Jasher or something like that, it says the Most High told you to do. I don't really believe that. But it says, verse 7. And when they did it, the men were grieved and were very wroth because he had brought folly in Israel and life without God's daughter, thing which ought not to be done. Not only that, but because they were, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, these were Canaanites. Were we supposed to deal with Canaanites? So was it righteous or not? I'm not gonna make that determination. I just say that they did win. Most High was on our side. And also at the end of chapter 34, right? When Yaakov says, y'all made me a stitch, they gonna kill us. They let the brothers say, well, should we allow him to deal with our sister as a whore? Why doesn't Yaakov respond?
Maybe he lacked the leadership skills at that point.
Yaakov was very quiet usually and stuff. But could it be because they were right?
So you probably wanted to do that too?
Yeah, he just didn't.
He burglar.
No, he didn't call the shots. But he was also fearful of the nations, which is the parasites and the Canaanites. So they pretty much wiped out a whole village of Kirites. All right, okay. So this is that chapter is more about honor than anything else. Let's go to chapter 35. And Elohim said unto El Yaakov, arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Elohim that appeared unto you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. And Yaakov said unto his house servants, to all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. And let us arise and go up to Bethel. And I will make there an altar unto Elohim, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Elohim, Yaakov, all the strange gods that were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in the earrings. Yaakov hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of Elohim was upon the cities that were round about them. And they did not pursue after the son of Yaakov, which sounds like what? Who else like this? The Torah gives it's cyclical, gives the same pattern. Who else did something right as far as fighting or fighting against other nations or kings? And the Most High put the fear of him in the surrounding territories. Prior to. Abraham did the same thing after the four kings. The fear of Abraham was behind people. Well, the Most High told him, fear not, right? Told him, fear not, for I am with you. He said the same thing. Fear not, for I am with you. Another thing, why is he telling them to put away their strange gods? Why do they even still have strange gods?
And one of the commandments.
Yeah.
He said, like,
But why does the household of Jacob at this point still have strange gods?
I would say they in the presence of the Canaanites, shepherding.
So there's still, it hasn't been established that we only serve the Creator. This is what's about to be established now. And as you go into the presence of the Creator, you want to have any other first commandment assist him. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before my face. Right? So that means that we, Sean, Shamar, and Uzi, I need y'all to take y'all earrings out. It said, if they took their earrings out that were in their ears because of strange gods. So are we not supposed to have earrings?
No, because I think, was it Isaiah talks about apparel people? I think earrings are mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you fight the scripture, okay.
We go back to the house, let's stop. The Israelites on the wall.
Where you see Israelites with earrings, also Israelites with earrings.
Man, Google Israelites on the Egyptian wall, you're gonna see them with their fringes on, their turbans on, they got the head.
Wow.
Y'all, yes.
I know, I've seen that one, but what does that have to do? All right, so go to Ezekiel chapter 16.
So that's how you took your earring out?
Oh no, I just like this one. What is Ezekiel 16? And we're gonna start at verse 9.
No.
If you have not read this whole chapter, you gotta read this whole chapter. This is us and the Most High. But we're gonna start at verse 9. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 9. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Okay. Then wash I you with water. Yea, I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil. I clothed you also with broidered work, and showed you with badger skin. And I girded you with fine linen, and I covered you with silk. I decked you also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon your hands, and a chain on your neck. I put a jewel on your forehead, and earrings in your ears, and a beautiful crown upon your head. Thus were you decked with gold and silver, and your raiment was of fine linen and silk and broidered work. You did eat fine flour and honey and oil. You were exceedingly beautiful, and you prospered into a kingdom. You are renowned forth among the nations for your beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness, which I have put upon you, says the God of the Lord Yahweh. So this is not talking about just regular earrings, but those who were with Yaakov, they had earrings in the shape of a moon. So they had their gods in their ears because they worshiped the moon. So they took out the earrings, which were made of moon, and then that's why. So none might say you can have it. Okay, so they took out the gods that were in their hands, and all the earrings were in their ears, and they hid them, and Yaakov hid them. And he said, put away your strange gods, be clean and change your garments. So he's telling them to wash themselves and change your garments. Why do you have to change your garments? What is that? What does your garment signify?
Changing your garments, the spirit that could have been attached to your apparel, and also just putting on the man.
Okay. The garments are you. So when you change, right? So when this is gonna be just I just want to mess with y'all. So when a man says that he's a woman, does he still wear manly stuff? He puts on the dress, he puts on the high heels, he puts on the wig, he changes his garments. Same thing here, these two, I thought that was crazy. Anyway, he's changing his garments because the garment is your outward expression of what's inside. So in Shabbat, when we get there, right, the difference is Moshe tells us to wash the garment. So don't change. You are Israel, but I need who you are to be clean. I need you to clean yourself up because you got dirt on yourself when you were in Egypt. Now he's telling them because they already worship strange gods, you need to change who you are.
And I was gonna say also, don't the priests have to, don't they have a separate pair of garments when they go into the temple?
So even when you, well, especially for the high priest, when you present yourself to the Creator, it's a different type of garment. And so your garment also represents your occupation. We're supposed to be priests of the Creator, so our garment is supposed to be different. All right, verse 6. So Yaakov came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel. He and all the people that were with him, and he built there an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there Elohim appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother. But Deborah, Rivka's nurse, died. She was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Elon Baku. So Deborah is Rivka's nurse. So she breastfed or took care of Rivka. Why is she with Yaakov? Why is Rivka or his mom's nurse with him when he went to Laban by himself?
She still need that child,
Somewhat, but okay, so I didn't get this is in the commentary. Y'all know when it said that well, when Jacob was told by the Creator to leave, it's time to leave, it was through her. So Rivka, his mom, if you remember when we read the Torah portion, and it said, go to my brother's house and I will come and fetch you. I'm gonna come and get you. So she sent Deborah in order to come and get him. So sometimes when it reads, which is why we can't get everything is not so spooky. Sometimes when it says that the Most High said something or the Most High told you something, it's really through a messenger. Now you got some situations where the Most High does speak to you, knowing your mind and so on and so forth, but sometimes it's a messenger that comes in his name. All right. Verse 9. And Elohim appeared unto Yaakov again when he came out of Padan Aram and blessed him. And Elohim said unto him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called any more Yaakov. Israel shall be your name. He called his name Israel. And Elohim said unto him, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you. And kings shall come out of your loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Yitzhak to you, I will give it. And to your seed after you will I give the land. Elohim went up from him in the place where he talked with him. Yaakov set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a libation or drink offering thereon. He poured oil thereon. And Yaakov called the name of that place where Elohim spoke with him, Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephraim. And Rachel travailed. She came and she had hard labor. And it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said unto her, fear not, you shall have this son also. And it came to pass as her soul was in departing, when she died, and she called his name Benoni. But his father called his name Benjamin. And Rachel died and was buried in the way in Ephraim, which is Bethlehem. And Yaakov set a pillar upon her grave. That is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond Migdol and dead. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in the land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine. And Israel heard him. Now the sons of Yaakov were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, Shimeon, and Levi, and Yehuda, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Yosef, and Benjamin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Yaakov, which were born to him in Padan Aram, Yaakov came unto Yitzchak, his father, unto Mamre, unto Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Yitzchak sojourned. And the days of Yitzchak were 140 years, 180. And Yitzchak gave up his spirit and died, was gathered into his people, being old and full of days. And his sons, Esau and Yaakov, buried him. So we see that the brothers didn't really fight or have beef afterwards, right? So they were pretty cool up until their deaths, until you read Jasher or something like that. Okay, so Elohim changes Yaakov's name again, or changes Yaakov's name and gives him the blessing of Abraham and Yitzchak. So this is when our name is officially changed from the Creator. But a question about this name change, right? Verse 10. Now Elohim said unto him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called anymore Yaakov. Israel shall be your name. He called his name Israel. So why did he say his name is Israel, Jacob, but your name shall no more be called Jacob? But when he spoke to Abram and changed his name, he didn't say that your name is Abram, but it shall no more be called Abram. But your name shall be Abraham. So is his name still Jacob?
From that point on.
So it's a trick question. It's not a trick question. It's a real question.
You know, I wouldn't know why I say that because, you know, we generally speaking, we're like, now certainly, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you say Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, you see, so people know who God you serve, which God it wasn't.
So is his name still Jacob, or is it Israel?
Yeah, I'll let you say that.
Maybe God said that.
Okay. You got like a short answer past that, or you just don't press it out? That's okay. That's okay. But G. Oh no, not good.
I was about to say, since his name is still being referred to Jacob, probably afterwards, maybe he was talking about his descendants, like, hey, here on out, y'all gonna carry the name of Israel.
Okay.
I was gonna say, maybe Yah was reminding him of what he was and telling him what he is now because of purpose.
Okay. So all of y'all are correct. I just want to read a couple of things, like Isaiah chapter 46, verse 3. Hearken unto me, O house of Yaakov, and all the remnant of the house of Israel. Chapter 48. Hear this, O house of Yaakov, which are called by the name of Israel. Verse 12, 48:12. Hearken unto me, O Yaakov, in Israel, my call. So is why is he calling two people? Well, why is he calling two names? In verse 12, chapter 48 in Isaiah, verse 12. Hearken unto me, O Yaakov, in Israel. Because we're talking about same person, but we're talking about the flesh or the lineage of Jacob, and we're talking about the character of Israel or the spiritual Yaakov. So everybody that is Jacob is not Israel.
You need the bloodline of Jacob.
Everybody whose bloodline Jacob is not Israel. Israel is a state of being. Go ahead.
I know you say I know not many people like Paul, but I have to go back to Paul has said, he said, not all Israel is Israel.
Not all Israel is Israel. Because the bloodline is one thing. You can't change the bloodline. But there is an ascension that has to take place into Yisrael. So that's why he's calling two different things. He's saying, oh, Jacob and Yisrael. So he's calling the bloodline Jacob to ascend. And he's also calling those who are already at that level. Those who have that character. That's the name change. What you don't see with the messenger. The messenger doesn't call him Jacob. He said, what is your name? He said, your name shall no more be called Yaakov or Yisrael. Most I said, your name is Jacob, but your name is also Israel. He goes back, when I think what Shlomo said, he goes back to Jacob when he loses Joseph, which we'll get to, but you'll see the name, it says Jacob, until he finds Joseph, and then all of a sudden Israel pops back. Because there's a difference between the man in the flesh, the lower state, the man who is at his height, which is Israel. You know what I mean? So Raquel dies due to the word that was given by Yaakov in the last Torah portion, where he says, whoever has an idol, let that person die. Now she has a son, and she died. The woman that she loves, that he loves, isn't even the one that's married with him. Because Raquel was, as you know, Maisha and other people said, she was only the second wife. So the second wife didn't get the same treatment as the first wife.
Not at all.
Completely respect. But anyway, all right. So chapter 36, and then we'll end up what I think.
Let's say you got multiple wives, right? But of course, you're human.
You gotta put that out there. We know we do.
I had to say that to try to smooth the route. I'm saying for men like that.
Nah, go ahead, no.
So, as men, there's going to be a greater attraction. We just not gonna love all y'all the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just y'all. So, is that wrong to?
No,
You're human.
It's natural.
Stop.
Yeah, but
No, I said it's natural. You do with each other.
yeah, it's the same thing as good as church. Like
You got a favorite child and daughter.
everybody has one. I can't say favorite. I'll say you have one that you favor more, or you have one that you know closer to more. But
Yeah,
Torah,
like your first wife.
Torah says that if you have more than one wife, and you have one wife that you love and the other one that you hate, it's not necessarily like hate, but it's more of
You don't love it like that.
yeah, you don't really rock with her like you rock with your first wife, or the one that you love. It's not saying first wife, the one that you love the most.
You're doing great. You're doing great job.
You're displeased.
Yeah, the one that yeah. So it's not wrong. But if you have a child by the one that you don't really like as much, and that's your firstborn, that firstborn still gets the firstborn blessing, regardless of Jacob didn't do that. Jacob gave the firstborn blessing to Joseph, who was the first, technically the firstborn of the one he loved, but number 11. Okay, any other questions, anything like that, about not just that, talking about the Jacob. All right. I'm gonna read through chapter 36. All right, now these are the generations of Esau, who was Edom. Esau took his women of the daughters of Canaan, Adam, the daughter of Emon, the Kitti, and Holibamah, the daughter of Adam, the daughter of Zebon, and the Kitti, and Basma, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nabal, and Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz, and Basma bore Reuel, and Aholibamah bore Yeish, and Yalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took all his women, his sons, and his daughters, all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Yaakov. For their riches were more than that they may dwell together. And the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. So after their father died, they still rocked together, which is why when you get to Esau have I hated and Yaakov have I loved and all that, it's really talking about the descendants. Or like you broke the brotherly pact, so you'll hear that when we talk about why we hate Esau, why they hate Esau, that he broke the brotherly pact, talking about the descendants, because these brothers, they was fooled at the end. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adad, the woman of Esau; Reuel, the son of Basma, the woman of Esau; and the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omer, Zepho, Gatam, and Kanaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. Sorry. These are the sons of Adad, Esau's woman. And these are the sons of Reuel, Nakam, and Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. These are the sons of Basma, Esau's woman. And these were the sons of Aholi Bama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zivon, Esau's woman. And she bore to Esau Yaish and Yalam and Korah. Okay. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau, the son of Eliphaz, the firstborn of the son of Esau. Duke Tamar, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kanaz, Duke Haram, Duke.
What were dukes?
Dukes are the former lords.
Yeah, they're like leaders.
But she actually really said they had the dukes in the medieval times too.
Yeah, that's what I was like, it's the first time I've actually seen it in the Bible.
They were black. They were black.
Yeah, the other version I had the cheat sheet. I'm looking at King James, that's the first time I actually seen it.
The word is aloof, which means yeah, chief.
Come on, sit down. Come on, sit down.
But I was gonna say, in the nation of Israel, we use that term.
Yeah.
So that's like a European.
Well, no, it's not European per se, it's just not something that we, at least we.
Did he say chief?
It's a Hebrew word, it's just.
Duke is a Hebrew word.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's aloof,
aloof. That sounds better.
Does that sound like, there's no other,
Aloof, that one.
like to stand on?
I changed my name.
yeah, it means chief, but as far as Israel, we use Sar and Nasi. Sar is like chief of service, Nasi is really fun. Verse 20, these are the sons of Seir, the Kori, who inhabited the land. Lotan and Shoval and Zimon and Anah and Dishon and Eser and Dishon. These are the dukes of the Kori, children of Seir in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were Hori and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shoval were these: Alvan and Manakah, and Ebol, and Shepho, and Onam. And these are the children of Zivon, both Eyal and Anah. This was that Anah that found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the donkeys of Zivon, his father. And the children of Anah were these: Dishon and Aholi Bama, the daughter of Anah. And these are the children of Dishon, and Himdan, and Eshban, and Yithron, and Shemron, Karan. The children of Eser are these: Bilhan, and Zaaban, and Akan. The children of Dishon are these: Utz, and Haran. These are the dukes that came out of the Korim. Duke Laton, Duke Shavon, Duke Zivon, Duke Anah, Duke Bishon, Duke Eser, Duke Dishan. These are the dukes that came out of the Kori, among their dukes in the land of Seir. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before they had reigned any king over the children of Israel. 32. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. And the name of his city was Dinhabed. And Bela died, and Yobab, the son of Zerah of Batra, reigned in his stead. And Yobab died in Cusham of the land of Temanite, reigned in his stead. And Cusham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Abib. And Hadad died. Semba of Mashrekah, reigned in his stead. And Salma died. And Shaul of Rekabah of the river, reigned in his stead. And Shaul died. And Baal Canaan, the son of Akbor, reigned in his stead. And Baal Canaan, the son of Akbor, died. Hador, reigned in his stead. And the name of this city was Paul. And his woman's name was Mehed Tabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Zahar. These are the names of the dukes that came out of Esau, according to their families, after their places by their names. Duke Tenah, Duke Abba, Duke Yether, Duke Oholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Enom, Duke Kenez, Duke Teman, Duke Mitzvah, Duke Mediel, Duke Aram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edom. All right, two questions from all these dudes. All right, one, why is there so much history before there was a king in Israel? Verse 31, these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before they reigned king over the children of Israel. Why?
Was it the kings? That's what I'm saying.
What, in Israel?
Yes.
Well, it said that all these people reigned before there was a king. So the first king is Shaul. Go ahead. Some say one.
It wasn't even in the land.
Okay. They had a 430 year head, speak out, 470 year head start. We have 430 years in, no, it's not there. 215, they had about 260, 270 years head start. We had 215 years in Egypt, and then we had 40 years in the wilderness, about 255. And then on top of that, we had the time of the judges, and you don't get a whole bunch of judges, and then you get Israel. So they have a whole lot of history. All right, the reason why I believe that this part is in here is because who are the Horites? Horites. Where do they come from? What you mean, like Cain, the actual name, or Cain just in the area? That's important, right? Horites don't come from Shem, Ham, or Yafet. Horites don't come from Shem, Ham, or Yafet.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
So if they do, why is that important? Why is it important that they don't come from four? Why is it interesting, right, that they don't come from Shem, Ham, or Yafet?
There's only one to survive.
Okay. They're the only ones that survive the flood. So if they don't come from Shem, Ham, or Yafet, who are they? So that's, huh?
Roman, no limits.
No, they're not Roman. Rome comes from Yafet. But so they are pre-flood, right? So they are ones who survived the flood, but they're not human. And that's who, go ahead.
Okay. How did they survive that flood?
About the same.
Because everybody can answer that question. Where in the Bible that was?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that might be the book of Joshua.
Sons of Bethlehem.
So they're all giants. That's survived.
So yeah, they're not human.
Whoa. Okay, all right, see, this don't walk fast and fast. So they're not human,
They're not what we are.
Okay, now, okay, all right.
That way, that kind of cleans it up. They are not what we are. And they are what mixed with Edom.
Bestiality, I'm talking about the bestiality.
So they had, but they didn't have a human form. So Horites, when you look at the word Horites, it means cave dweller. So now you see where it comes to, the caveman and all of that, and bacon on the eggs. That's definitely.
Okay,
So,
okay, go ahead. So I'm walking with them right now.
are some of those people still around today?
See.
Yeah, because they mixed in. But,
All right.
uh-huh,
Now we're talking, we're walking and talking, right?
uh-huh.
So, no, they ain't doing
See,
Okay.
No, we're talking about the Horites.
The Horites are not human,
They're
they're,
mixed in with Edom. The
Right.
Horites are mixed in with Edom. They're not from Shem, Ham, or Yafet.
and okay,
Mhm.
and through history, we always see crazy stuff like, I mean, I'm not trying to talk about, and like, Greek mythology, you always have like the man and the goat on the wall.
Okay, so that stuff comes from what they were doing before the flood. So they were mixing humans and animals and stuff like that.
So, okay, so these are actual human noise of the people.
Yeah, which is what they're doing now too, but yeah.
Yeah, they're people,
Yeah.
big heart, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And then you see mixing between animals and flesh and stuff like that. So it's going back to the days of Noah. But these particular Horites, right? These are, some would say the serpent seed, right? Then some would say that they are mixed with the Nephilim. But whatever they are, they don't come from Shem, don't come from Ham, they don't come from Yahweh. And this is the seed that mixed with Edom. And it's important because even when you do our DNA, right? It says that, quote unquote, black people are the only ones who are, quote unquote, fully human. Black people are the only ones who are, our DNA is pretty much 100% what they call human DNA or man's DNA. Then you got another people who have something that's mixed in that's not, we don't really know what it is. But that comes back to the Horites.
When you say black people, what does that include?
All the melanated people in the world.
Melanin, well, highly melanated people, because everybody's melanated.
So what about South Asians?
Listen, bro, I'm just letting you know, listen, black people are the only ones with, I'm not gonna say even 100%, but we are the closest to being completely human beings.
It's not on YouTube. This lesson on YouTube.
Your hand is more than likely gonna put it on YouTube, but this information is already out there, like, we don't know who the whole rights are. We know that they were pre-flood and that they survived the flood and they lived in the mountains. Esau went to the mountains, they mixed, and now some of Esau's blood, I don't think it was all of them, it wasn't all of them, but some of Esau's blood is mixed with whatever they are.
So I'm gonna use something as a reference to what you're saying, right? That's close to it. Because these directors be on some stuff, right? Okay, for instance, example of what we're talking about. Okay, look at Lord of the Rings.
See, I never actually seen Lord of the Rings.
Come on, man.
But are you talking about what's the little one that?
Not them, I'm talking about the big ones that they come from the cave, where they came from out the ground. And they'll harvest them in the cave, they're like real big.
All right, so maybe I need to watch.
You need to watch.
But
Some
just the guess, I would say.
Popcorn night, movie night.
I would say probably, yeah. I would say just about what you're describing, probably yes. Because Lord of the Rings has to do with Solomon and the ring of Solomon controlling the deep. I'm sure they got some. But yeah, so this is why this is in here. It's in here because of verse 20.
That's crazy.
The sons of Seor, the Horites who inhabited the land. The Horites mixed with Edom. So are there any other questions?
Also, I think your question was, why is he talking about so many nukes before the nation of Israel had a king? It's probably trying to tell you, like, the spirits that was, or the practices and traditions that was, in these lands before.
Prior to, which is why they probably didn't let us through the land. But yeah, it's some weird stuff going on with the Horites kingdom. But just That's why the most I said that we don't mix, and we're supposed to kind of stay in a certain group. Yeah, so that's the tour force. Are there any questions on anything in the tour force?
I got some more questions.
Let's table that.
We talking about, you gonna ask for the food, or you wait till next?
I'm gonna wait till
The food,
this,
okay,
this service.
okay.
We're gonna raise.
Okay, so, all right, real quick, and then, I'm sure it's dark outside. It's real dark outside. Okay, all right, so, real quick, just some announcements, one, Monica's in 2 weeks. We're in Virginia once again, so it doesn't really matter if you don't go out there or not, just the fellowship is important. So Maury, Mark, and you'll hear that, and we'll be out here, not this, upcoming week, next week after that. All right, look, so,
What?
okay, I got you anyway. All right, so, we need your help, right? We don't need ties, but we do need help, especially with the building. I know y'all don't want to just be a Zoom only conversation. Right, so, we just need contributions that will help us not only with this, but also other things as far as the land, and other things that we're trying to do. So you know how to get ties, I don't want to know what you make, none of that, but Taruma or contributions would definitely be helpful in what we're trying to do. So we can just take care of this place. You don't gotta worry about the food, none of that, we just need to worry about the connection. So that's all I say on that.
You got cash out of this.
Yeah, I'm not writing on the board right now, but it's, yeah. So that's that. All right, now,
I don't think that you should limit people's ability to be blessed by the Creator by saying you don't have to give your tithes. Your tithes is what keeps the money flowing in your household. If you tell people not to give their tithes, you are limiting the blessing to their household.
I mean, yeah, when you start talking about time.
I know people get weird, but it's not about where it's going, it's about the blessing that comes after. If you take that from people, then they won't be able to even contribute or give an offering, because then the enemy will keep their money tied up. But a tithe unlocks that. Which is why you see our forefathers give a tithe. It unlocks whatever it is the Creator is bringing towards you.
And yeah, don't want to freak out Israel, but yes.
Well, Israel won't have to grow up. Point blank period.
I want to freak out Jacob. Okay, that's true. Okay. But yeah, so y'all heard that. All right. Whatever it said, yeah, let's go ahead and pray. Rukataya, Father, the Haven like Allah, Shem time to Ra, Torah Rabba, Father Yah, for this life, the life that you have given each and every one of us, Abiyah, to still be before you as your servants. Father Yah, we pray that the word today was edifying, O Yah. We pray, Abiyah, that the word that went forth, Abiyah, is pleasing before your sight, that it was edifying to the body. And if there's anything, Abiyah, that I said in there, and you bring it to my knowledge, Abiyah, and I may correct it, Abiyah. For your word, let it be true and every man alive. Thank you, Father Yah, for healing power, Father Yah, which we ask to go toward our Imam Millicent's mother, as well as her brother, as well as Zoke Yeladia, as well as toward everybody, Abiyah, who is having issues, Abiyah, with their health. May you make them whole, Abiyah. You are our physician, and we look to you, Abiyah, to make us whole. May you bless the food, Abiyah, the hands that prepared it. May it be told and that's for our temples. May you provide each and every one of us who are here, Father Yah. May you bless our households. May you prevent the enemy, Abiyah, and the spirits that try to overtake us, Abiyah. May you protect us, Abiyah, give us the strength to prevail, as you gave strength to our forefather, Yaakov. May we ascend, Abiyah. May you show us how to ascend, how to rise up to be Israel and not just the seed of Jacob. May our minds be transformed by the renewing of it. May our hearts be hearts of flesh, and may you renew an upright spirit within us. May you forgive our sins, our trespasses, and our iniquity, and those of our forefathers and foremothers. And may this be the generation, Abiyah, that you look upon, and that you see, that you recognize, and that you come and retrieve, Abiyah. May our efforts not be in vain to regather the nation. And may you continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, Father God, for all of your leaders, each and every one of us, Father God, in our own right, as your servants, to do your will. May the meditation of our hearts and the words of our mouth be acceptable in thy sight, O Yah, our strength and our Redeemer. Baruch atah Yahuwah, Baruch Hashem Yahuwah, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Bless you, Yahuwah. Bless your name, Yahuwah. And bless he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. And with all our hearts, souls, and mind, we say hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.